What mistake should have killed you? Playing with the laundry chute in my childhood home when I was around 5 years old. My cousins and I took turns dropping things down the chute while someone else stood at the bottom and dodged them. For the most part, it was things like washcloths, stuffed animals, a clothing item, etc. Just so happened that when I stood under the chute, my cousin dropped a 5 lb dumbbell down and I, expecting something harmless, didn't get out of the way. That ended the game real quick. I now part my hair in a way that hides the bald spot scar on my head. Edit. Listen, it shoots the laundry down. Also, a weight was dropped on my head. Many years ago, I owned a pub. I went upstairs to the house area to find all the lights were off. I flicked the trip switches to turn the lights back on, which they did. I then heard running water from my co-owner's fish tank in the lounge. Turns out the protein skimmer had flipped over and was spilling water over the wall socket. Instinctively, and very stupidly, went to turn off the plug, and as soon as I touched it got sent flying over the back of the sofa. Don't know how I'm still alive to this day. This was 13 years ago. I was skateboarding with some buddies at a busy shopping center. A few minutes before leaving, we were waiting at a crosswalk to cross the street. One of my friends takes off running across the crosswalk, and my other buddies follow suit. So I took off as well. I was not even paying attention to the light, but the lane crossing the crosswalk was on a green light. My two friends in front were in the clear, but myself and one of my other friends were both hit by a U-Haul truck. Yes, really. Trust me, I got shit for years about getting hit by a huge, bright orange truck, going probably 40 to 45 miles per hour. My friend in front of me didn't get hit too bad. I got hit square in the chest. I had no clue at the time what even had happened. I was running, then I was on the ground in a daze, no pain, and I even got up and instinctually ran back to the sidewalk that I had come from. No clue I'd been hit by a truck. I was more just like what just happened. A nurse that was at the light came and helped me, told me what had happened, and helped me stay calm. She asked if I was having trouble breathing. I was, but it was attributed to me having asthma. Later found out it was because both of my lungs were punctured. Anyways, the ambulance shows up. I'm holding up very well, no clue why. Kinda just thinking, okay, damn, I must have gotten super lucky. Unconscious, talking fine, no biggie. They only had one bed in the ambulance, so my buddy was lying on it, and I was sitting hunched over on the bench for the ride. I wish I was joking. We get to the hospital, and I try to pull myself up to get out of the ambulance. And I can't, my shoulders hurt way too bad. The EMS guys tell me I probably dislocated my shoulder, and that I'll just have to get it popped in, and before I know it I'll be back home. Once inside, we get put in the waiting room. No, I'm not joking. We had skateboards with us, and the desk people had no clue. They assumed we just fell on our skateboards or something. So I'm still feeling pretty good, other than some sore shoulders, just chilling there watching Wheel of Fortune. When all of a sudden I start feeling super clammy and disoriented. I remember hearing my mom screaming he's going into shock, and then, next thing I know, I'm being wheeled down a bunch of hallways. It was like in shows where it's a blur of those fluorescent lights, just flashing overhead one at a time. I start having severe pain, like the worst pain you could imagine, but I can't be given in painkillers yet, because I have to go through a bunch of tests first. I'd assume these tests should have been done right when I got there, but what do I know? The one I really remember is having to be picked up off of the bed and put onto one of the machines that required I be on my back. They had people grab each corner of the sheet from the bed that I was on to move me onto it. I remember it kind of squishing my shoulders inward a bit, and holy shit, that was the worst pain I've ever felt. Anyways, after a ton of tests, it's found out that both of my lungs are punctured. Both of my collarbones are snapped in half. Broken ribs, cracked sternum, concussion, the works. Ended up spending the next couple weeks in ICU. They didn't have any hospital beds open for me at the time, so I actually ended up being transferred to a children's hospital. People came and sang to me and brought me teddy bears and shit. And I was just jacked up on morphine watching Lord of Rings all the time. But yet, it was a pretty tough recovery, and I went from just hanging out with a smile on my face to a scary place real quick. I went to a world-renowned clavicle specialist at Duke Medical for my collarbones. He normally had an insanely long wait list, but apparently when he found out that I broke both at the same time, he was willing to see me as soon as possible. He told me that he'd only ever had a few patients that broke both at the same time, because the force required to do so almost always resulted in death. But eventually I got better, full recovery. Was a bit of a hypochondriac for a while, and was scared to cross the street for a while. But other than that, no biggie. I fell down my friend's basement stairs when I was 8, hit my head on the concrete floor, and ended up being airlifted to a major city hospital after being knocked out and still screaming. Ended waking up a couple days later and found out I was missing a tooth, and I was told that as they were putting a breathing tube in, it knocked my tooth down my throat, which scared the docs more. But I was super happy cause I played Melee for the first time in the game room and ate Jello for meals. Turns out that I was actually in a comatose state and gradually got worse over 48 hours until I had zero brain activity for about 6 minutes. So I guess I did die, but I didn't find out from my family till afterwards, because who tells an 8-year-old that they died? Not wearing a helmet while on a bicycle and stupidly turning left just as a car overtook me. Somehow, I only got a neat scar through my eyebrow and some torn-up kneecaps from it. But the look on my mother's face when she picked me up from the hospital, that made me realize how profoundly stupid I was that day. Edit. I did make a turn signal with my arm, but the driver apparently didn't see it. He later went over to the hospital to ask if I was okay and to apologize for hitting me. My dad got trashed and tried to jump over the fence at Yankee Stadium with his friends. He failed and an iron spike punctured him. He remembers being rushed to the hospital and bleeding everywhere. Everyone thought he was going to die of blood loss. Did die, but he also made several more stupid mistakes, such as riding a motorcycle without a helmet and breaking several ribs, etc. Honestly, he is still stupid and I'm surprised he hasn't died yet. I was in a rural area. I didn't see some disturbed dirt in the dirt road that we were driving on, but my lieutenant in the passenger seat almost shit his pants because his life flashed before his eyes. He literally curled into a ball in his seat. I asked him what was up, and he said he was sure that there was something back there. We were currently escorting troop carriers to drop off a foot patrol in the middle of nowhere, so after we completed our drop-off we went back on his order to check out the spot. My truck was the only one with an RF jammer, so I took the lead up to the spot my lieutenant had seen. When I say it, I thought to myself, holy shit, how did I not see that? I was the demo guy since we didn't have enough EOD in the area, so I went up to it, saw the pressure plate and wires, dug it up, and there it was. A battery with the battery acid all leaked out. They didn't bury it deep enough, and it was the middle of summer. About 130 Fahrenheit out. Not good for the battery. Under the battery and pressure plate was a box, about the size of a footlocker, filled with explosives and accelerant. If it had gone off, my whole truck would have been dust. We had to do a controlled demo since EOD was busy, and after we took it out half the road, had a 5-foot deep crater in it. Also, thanks for the gold stranger. When I was in high school, me and a few friends all lied to our parents and told them we were spending the night at each other's houses. What we had really done was backpacked up a snowy Idaho mountain in the middle of winter without telling anyone where we were going. We were all fairly inexperienced in winter backpacking. The friend in charge of bringing food brought chicken he'd cooked at home so we could eat it cold in case we couldn't start a fire. Luckily, I'd brought a can of chili and didn't partake in the chicken. I woke up the following morning to a fresh foot of snow and my friends vomiting out of the tent. We left our boots outside and they were completely frozen through. The shoelaces of my boot were pointing up and out and had zero bend. Me and one other friend were not sick and had to pack up the tent, the most freezing cold work I've ever done. I gave one of my sick friends my gloves because he couldn't find his. We were about 3 miles into the hike and the trail we'd taken and was totally covered and none of us were familiar with it enough to know it by memory. I took all but one pack and ran down trail to the car, making my best guess on which way to turn and marking those choices with ski poles. Got to the car, started it up to get it warm and to check if we had cell reception. We didn't. And then I ran back up trail to where they were and we carried them back to the car. I got home and felt like total garbage. My entire body was on fire from the cold and the soreness. I found an AC cord with exposed wires as a kid. It didn't connect to any device. It was probably just a spare part. Being a child at that time, I thought I could eat electricity, so I plugged it in and just chomped the wires. Naturally, I was exposed to 220 volts of electricity, and it was strong enough that I couldn't pull away. I passed out after what felt like 5 minutes. When I woke up, I already had a discoloration on my tongue, so it was probably not a dream. I have a theory that all the events in my life after that are just a simulation, and that I actually died after that incident.